Right, man. Looks like we are live here today, man. What's up? What's up, good people? Love, peace, and prosperity. I'm in here. Oh, shit. What's up, good people? What's up? Love, peace, and prosperity, man. Love, peace, and prosperity. We are live. We are live. I'm going to link this up to my Facebook. Give me one good second. Let me link this up real quick. Get the Facebook on point. Man, today's message, man, I'm gonna come with some real shit with you today. We're gonna sit back, man, and we're gonna enjoy a few clips from a few things that I received. I like to communicate. No, I don't need to do that shit. Let me get that out of there. All right. Everything is raw and uncut. I am not trying to sit here and be a professional or anything like that of that nature. I'm just here to help you realize who you are. Okay, now, don't be playing with me now, computer man. Not really. Let me get back on my shit. Oh man, yeah, I need that window open. How I'm gonna do this? Okay. All right. Let's see if this is gonna work. See if it's gonna match up to the test here, man. I got this MacBook Pro. Let's see what it's gonna do. It said it's gonna handle a lot here. The load is pretty heavy. Got a straight connection, so hopefully it doesn't cause anything to happen. What's up, good people? What's up, man? Man, excuse the here we go. Let me just put this. So y'all want me to cover my face up and shit when I'm in the crib. Shit. What's up, y'all? I'm just gonna fuck around a little bit, you know. Alright, so as you see behind me, man, it's my boy Petey Weestraw, man. I want to make sure I represent to the fullest, you know. Pee Wee Straw definitely puts it down on the music. You guys are not even seeing that information. Hold up. Let me get you to that real quick. Alright, so as you see behind me, man, that's my boy Pee Wee Straw, man. I want to make sure I represent to the fullest, Pee Wee Straw definitely puts it down on. Now I wonder why it looks like that on the video here. You guys are not even seeing that information. Hold on. Let me get you to that real quick. Alright, so check it out, man. We're gonna get this kicked off today because I'm just gonna kind of do this right here. See, because it's not giving me the full screen of my Zoom, so, and I'm using the OBS program, but I don't have time to try to figure this all out today. So there we go. I think I see what's going on. That shit got me like that. There we go. Interesting. Interesting. And I'm using the OBS program, but I don't have time to try to figure this all out. There we go. Alright. I literally had to make that fit. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, man, I'm gonna actually share the same window that the Facebook is sharing. Okay. I literally have to make that shit. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, man, I'm gonna actually share the same window that the Facebook is sharing. Okay. So what do we have here? This is the Bantu people, right? This is actually the tribe that Ancestors.com said that I am from. All right. Now I looked at this earlier, and I was just kind of blown away by how some of them actually look, and man, just the nose right here, like that nose right there, man. I definitely, I mean, that definitely runs in my family. There's another one. Oh no, wait a minute. I don't think she's from the tribe. This might be the Bantu products. You know, he threw that one in there. Man, I looked at these earlier because my DNA report basically said that I'm a part of the Kamaru, which a lot of us pretty much are. Anybody see my pictures on my page? I mean, that, like, that nose, the eyes, nose, eyes, cheeks. Man, this kind of resembles my family as well, because my family has the cheeks, definitely right here, high cheek structure. So I just was going through this earlier, and I thought this was very, very interesting to see right here. Oh man, dead on. Cheeks, nose, chin, eyes, especially that nose. Now I know most people would be like, oh yeah, but we're not from there. Yeah, our people migrated everywhere. It says that in the Bible. We migrated everywhere. That nose. We were everywhere around the world. Okay, so yes, we were here, but we migrated from somewhere. Okay, look at that nose. Definitely. Especially here, nose, eyes, cheeks. Like it's just really beautiful. And then I've also gotten in contact with one of my family members, never spoke to before, out of Mississippi. I was supposed to actually call some more of them today and get a lot more history of my family, but I didn't. I've been actually dealing with a lot of this and tons of information, trying to get ready for tonight. Give me 1 second here. All right, so with that being said, I also had some other stuff for you guys today. A lot of us don't know what we are, where we're from, and what is actually going on out here. I am no longer under the United States jurisdiction. Okay. It took some months, but it was a decision that I had to work from within in order to make the change. All change comes from within. And you definitely need to learn about who you are and what you are. Okay? When you're like, oh man, but we're not international. But the government is a foreign entity, and we allowed them when the chief actually allowed the colonization back in 1880 something, and actually in the other peace treaty that happened with the Moors back in 1776. When they allowed the colonization to happen in most areas, they allowed the German colonization to come in and integrate with us. Okay, and we have to realize that this is a big, huge planet. Nigeria is the size of 2 Californias. Okay, so For years, I could not fathom the thought of how it's 4 billion people in Africa, and it's only 330 million people in the United States. Wrap your minds around that. 4 billion people in Africa alone. 4 billion. 4 billion. 4 billion. Listen, we have to open up our minds and our hearts for this. We have to share this information. We have to share the love, because when I post this stuff, it's about the love first and foremost. I don't want to talk against anyone. I'm not even interested in all that. Just give me 1 second, because I need to share this information. All right, so back to what I was saying here. Back to what I was saying. This is basically the protocols, and I'm gonna actually get to. Hold on here. I'm gonna get to Arna videos. Oh no, that's not it. Oh shit. Now here we go. Bingo. Voila. All right. So here we go. The Arna indigenous status. So you guys can actually go to Chief Amaru.
All right, peace, family.
Ali, and he would definitely put you in the right direction. Go through these videos, learn the information. It is definitely there for us. But
the Shiamaru tribal government and the Aboriginal Republic.
I'm no longer a part of the United States jurisdiction. And the reason I did that was because, one, I was looking for a way out of this. Okay? I was looking for a way out of this. And they actually provided a way. And then I also like the structure of what Arna is doing. I love the structure of what Arna is actually doing. So Arna is actually building a structure to where we're gonna have our own community and start getting our land back. We're gonna handle this in peace and love while we educate our children and also ourselves. We're gonna educate ourselves through the way we eat and open our minds up to have a different lifestyle on the way that we live, to no longer live in fear. Okay? This is not for someone to have a lick or to do anything of that nature. So, with that being said, I think this is the best road for me. I don't know if it's the best road for everyone else. It's gonna take people time. It took me almost 6 months to do this. But it might take people longer. It took me years to change the way I was eating. It might take someone else 10, 20 years. Some people might not even have that time. I will hope it wouldn't take you that long, because the 2030 agenda is to eradicate poverty. So which side of the field do you want to be on? Because whether you feel like that this is not for you or whatnot, or whether you feel like you're not going to ever change, everything about life is a choice. The majority of people fear death. So if you're not going to change, then where do you expect to be, especially if you have children? You need to understand where you're going to be. Because if you have children, this is about the children of the future. And right now, all of your children, including yourself, is under the ward of the United States. You're under the jurisdiction of the United States, so they control everything that you do. See, when we started picking up on these laws and reading through the lines, it brought us to here. And now this is a way that we can actually get our life back, learn who we are, and learn how to live in peace and love like we've always been. We don't go destroying the earth. We don't go doing chemtrails. We don't go burning down Amazons and doing all of this stuff. Our people does not do that. Okay? And I'm not putting this on anyone else or putting any other people out there or anything. We just don't do that. So there's no reason to have anger over anything. Okay? But during my awakening over the past 7 years, 8, because I'm in the year of my infinity. Last year was my 7-day theory. Okay? That was my 7-day theory. That's when I came into the awakening. And the energy force, the one, the creator, God, whichever name, Allah, whichever name you want to call, has been waking many, many, many people up everywhere and telling you it is time to start changing the way you eat and changing the way you live. If last year didn't wake a lot of people up, then if you don't wake up this year, you will be asleep. You will be asleep. And I hate to say it like that, but that is just a fact. Where is my 1 second here. I'm trying to find my Amazon Prime. So we have to get to, I'm going to get to the information that helped me wake up, because I didn't start watching like the programs and things like that the other people was watching. I didn't go watching Power, doing all this old extra shit. I just didn't do it. It wasn't for me. I must did it on the Safari. Ah, shit, man. One moment, so I gotta log into my Amazon on this other screen here. So I'm gonna start taking you guys through the minds of through my mind and things that the angels showed me to wake up, so I can wake up the group of people that I need to wake up and do my part. I'm nothing special, because everyone's out here is waking up, and I don't want to ever make myself seem like I'm anything special. But I am quite the humanitarian for doing this, because I didn't have to. I don't have to. But I do it for the love, because I love people. I love seeing people smile. I love helping people. That's just who I am. Alright. Oh, shit. Hold on 1 second. Wait, 1 fucking minute. Oh, okay. Sorry. Had to make sure I ordered that dog food, because I don't want angry dogs tomorrow. Alright, so some of the things that I watch beginning of the year, which was this here. This is a really good documentary. You want to learn about the government that you're under. Okay? Very good documentary. I watched this one here, and I tried to stay away from the documentaries that had people with their own theories, or when you hear them talk, they talk with a lot of anger towards someone. I wanted the unbiased truth. Okay? I don't want to hear someone saying, oh, well, the government is this and this. No. I want to hear the truth about stories that people went through. I want to hear the testimonies of the stories that people went through and came from out of it. I want to hear about the things, the good things and the bad things. That's what I wanted to hear. So this is one part of it here. And then I can't end the live stream here. So we're going to go back here. And I'm sorry, I'm just accessing information through my mind to remember where did all this stuff go. A lot of it's in my playlist. This is what I was looking for. The Atomic Soldiers. This is the stuff that our veterans and soldiers could not tell you. Okay? But just look at these views. Look at this here. Okay? How the government used veterans as atomic guinea pigs. And we're talking about 400,000. Okay? We're not talking about no small number. We're talking about 400,000 soldiers used as guinea pigs. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of let this play for 22 minutes, and then we're gonna go off into a lot of other things here. We got to keep our minds open to this and what's going on. Many other people died from underlying conditions, or they didn't make it through the blast. Skin was falling off. Some died like literally right after what had happened. Yeah, this here is.
Guess I'm a little perplexed right now. Starting to think about things.
I just had that eerie feeling of like Twilight Zone, you know.
Starting to hear sounds. I could feel the earth shaking. I don't think I want to go there.
You know, my wife's the only person I ever told.
I never told anybody, not my parents, not my brother, not my best friends, not my wife. Nobody.
I go in tears talking about it now. It's affected me. I'd like to think it hasn't affected me. I like to think I can tough it out and everything's okay. It has affected me. I will admit to it. You just saw a little bit of it now. I can't watch the bomb.
Hood was the biggest kiloton bomb blown up within the continental United States. The morning of July 5th, 1957, about 4 in the morning, they put us in a trench. I think it was a mile from ground zero or less. I was in a platoon with 40 other people, and we had for protection, we just had our utility jackets, our weapons, helmets, and a gas mask.
The
attitude in the trenches was these didn't know what was going to happen. They had no idea. And these were well-trained men, so it was not I don't think they would have been afraid to go into combat, shoot people without any problem. But they didn't know what this bomb was.
We followed the instructions, which were to crouch down, put our backs towards the shot, and bow our heads and cover our eyes.
And we got to the point that everybody's basically in the trenches. They started the countdown. They went 59, 58, 57.
I got my gas mask on. I had trouble cinching it down. And it got down to 9. I grabbed my helmet, put it up to my head about like that, and the bomb went off.
It really was the most, I'll never experience anything like it again. I know that.
It was completely daylight at midnight, brighter than the brightest day you ever saw.
I cannot begin to describe the light that came into my eye. I was totally blinded. When I came out of the blindness, I saw my hands, and by this time I actually saw the blood vessels in my bones in my arm, because as I came across like this, it actually was totally x-rayed.
You could literally just see every bone in there, everything. Even the guy's bones in his back that was in front of you.
That's how bright the light was. To go from through the back of your head, through your eyes, and into your fingers, you're seeing your bones in your hands.
How did it come through all that to get to your bones? That you could visually see them, like an x-ray.
The light faded, and it's like streaks of lightning from the ground to the sky, about every 2 feet around you. And then that faded, and it was like giant fireballs in front of your eyes.
When the wave hit me, it knocked me over. I actually flipped over. All of us fell down on the ground.
The blast caught me in the face, broke my glasses, knocked me on my butt, put a whole bunch of shrapnel in my face. It's mostly like little glass beads that were melted glass beads in my neck, and had a hole in my neck and one in my lip. And
it felt just like you would take a red hot iron, like you iron with an ironing board, and put it to your neck.
there was extreme heat. There was people screaming and running. There was panic. There was panic and people screaming because of the heat.
Everybody started yelling, and some people calling out for their mothers, and some of the trenches collapsed.
I don't know. It's like I had lost it, and I don't know why, because I'm losing it right now.
The whole clump of ground, 10 yards this way, 15 yards this way, 10 yards back over here.
A few guys were having a little trouble. They were throwing up. It was a normal thing, I guess.
We had to dig 2 guys out. And we're standing there watching the mushroom cloud form, and you could see it with the naked eyes. It sucked all the sand up.
There was people were gathering then, kind of coming back and looking at this spectacular shot.
It actually, you're gonna die when I tell you this. It was so big. The colors were beautiful in a sense. I hate to say that.
You see this molten cloud changing color as it kind of
Lavenders and popping and flipping and just doing.
And it was boiling and just orange and reds and black and gray and whatever. And it just kept boiling, rolling like this. And the higher it got, the more it flowed outwards.
that thing just it seems like it keeps on going and it keeps expanding, and then it reaches a point where it kind of colors up at the top.
And the very, very top of the mushroom was white. And it actually comes down over the cloud, the mushroom cloud, which is all ice. It looks like frost. But don't forget, it's 35,000 feet up in the air.
As it closed in, it was a huge red ring all the way around as far as you could see from the horizon And as it closed up like an aperture on a camera, on one side of the red ring was daylight, on the other side was night.
I saw planes going through it, which, even at its growth stage, we were flying aircraft through it.
The unforgettable sound of the roar, it roared and roared and roared. And men yelling and confused and
Woods, I think he defecated in these pants and all kinds of weird stuff.
Grown men in tears. And I saw officers saying the word, "Oh my God, what are we doing?"
And then that shit started flying out of the sky. Now we became a little very concerned with stuff coming crashing down on you now, because there were boulders, rocks and stuff that maybe 3 inches in diameter, 2 inches in diameter, but you got your helmet on or kept it on if something got knocked off, during the explosion. And if you didn't have your helmet on, you'd get conged real good.
they took roll call. And there were 2 people that were missing, but we went on without them. Never found out again what happened to those 2.
There were a number of trucks that were turned over on their sides, and things like tires and whatever were smoldering from the fire.
And I seen all the steel, from bulldozers, cranes, cars, trucks, everything completely destroyed. And when you see a bulldozer blade ripped like paper, it's powerful.
The tank retriever was the main thing. That huge chunk of metal ended up to be a puddle the size of a chair.
In the course of this, there was a 1-star general, Marine general, who was bewildered, and I guess he had kind of temporarily lost his cool, and he says, "I don't know where I am. I've lost my men. And I says, "Calm down, General." I says, "Look," I've been in a few of these shots now. It's okay. We just gotta wait till the dust settles a little bit." And he was all upset. I don't know. I think I calmed him down, but he was pretty upset.
And I seen some guys coming towards us, like to the right of us, towards the bomb even. Like they were walking towards us as we were walking to the left of the blast. And I thought, what are they wearing? They have some kind of different clothes on, because things were dangling like they had padded clothes or something. It looked odd. And through some other people and talking over the years, I think it was their flesh. Nobody had uniforms that dangled like that.
I think a lot of us knew that this was not a good thing for us.
That was the most breathtaking thing I have ever experienced in my life. I'm happy I was able to be there for that series of tests. I would never do it again. I'd go to Canada first.
It haunts me to think of what I had witnessed and
These are the soldiers
not realized at the time
that was used
The
in an
import
in an
of
atomic bomb
what we were
Experience.
doing at the time.
for
Actually
over
serving as
22 years.
guinea
They
pigs.
used 400,000
We were just-
soldiers.
It's like an experiment animal
400,000
to
soldiers.
use in a lab.
Many died from radiation poisoning.
And I think a lot of
And
my
you guys want to keep fearing
lumps and that,
and running up with this
nodules
country.
I've had
This is
taken
the
out my
country that
body
you
is
want
due to that.
not this country.
I had
the
developed
government,
a,
not this country.
a tumor
The government has
in
nothing to do with this
04
country. This country is ours.
when I went down and registered as an
But
atomic
you guys want to
vet.
keep running up with this
And
government.
it turned out that
And
the
they do
tumor
shit like
was
this.
called
They're still doing it
schwannoma
today.
tumor. It
They're
was
still doing
caused
it.
by ionized radiation.
There you go.
And
Ionized
for 10
radiation.
years now,
They're still doing
I've
it.
been trying to get compensation for that, but the government does not want to admit to anybody that was harmed by any radiation. They've been putting me off for over 10 years now.
They couldn't talk for 50
I've
years.
had more than 30 taken out.
They could not talk about this for 50 years. Ask
And
yourself
I've had my
why.
head
That's because another
sprayed
plan.
and shaved.
There's another plan. That 50-year plan has now ended. So now the other 50
When I got
years
out of
is
the
in
military,
place now.
I had after effects.
So we
like
need to
I was
pay
losing
attention
my
to what's
hair.
going on. In order to
I
find
had,
out what's going
spine
on, in order to
problems, this and that.
maneuver around
And
this,
then I
we
started.
need to understand what was done, and
gaining
then now
weight.
we can create from that and move on.
I gained a lot of weight. I was obese, and I was getting very nervous. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to meet anybody. I was like turning into a loner.
I just felt like
Let me just pause it right there real quick, because I want you guys to understand something. You know how the Italians feeds their enemy, let their enemy get fat, feed them, and then kill them? So what do you think that they do, since they control all the resources over the food right now? What do you think they're doing to the people? They're not just doing it to us, and we're talking about the government, okay? Because they allow the FDA to prove things to be eaten that is not safe for our bodies. And as you see, the foods that we actually eat actually is harming us, along with the energy that's around us. So the energy that's around us even harms us, make that food that we're eating that's making our body inflamed and toxic. The energy makes it run rapid. So it speeds up your life expectancy. Okay? I just wanted to put that out there real quick. Just how the Italians keep feeding you. So they fed them a bunch of bullshit, and then they watched them die slowly. Some of them died fast, but a lot of them died slowly.
it was going to be the end of the world, and I was going to do what I can. Right now, for probably 20 years, I abused alcohol, and I was not a very good person in my mental state.
I have
PTSD.
spent a number of years when I was out of the
Neurological
service,
issues.
waking up in the middle of the night, seeing the atomic bomb.
Want to be sleeping, try to sleep at night sometimes. I didn't sleep for a long time, very well. I'd always have this bright light that would flash on. Hello, time to get up. No, it isn't.
A lot of y'all are not sleeping now because the energy is so great right now that are coming from the towers, the street lights, your cell phones, your Wi-Fi in your room, maybe in your bedroom, in your home. People are going to school with Wi-Fi. People are going to work with Wi-Fi, and it's making the toxins in your body and the heavy metals that are in your body, because there's aluminum in your product. You're eating cereal and iron pills that has iron in it. That's heavy metals that's in your body that's being controlled by the frequency.
No light bulb out there, Turkey. You're just dreaming you had, So it can be a kind of, especially if you get drunk. You're in a bar, and all of a sudden you're hallucinating. You see these damn this atomic bomb going off, all these bright lights, and you're hello. You can't even see the chicky boos because the lights are so bright. And really,
The only thing that they did for about anybody for $10,000 fine or 10 years in prison.
Everyone was told that you're never, ever to discuss this again. That what you saw stays with you forever. You can't tell your wife, you can't tell your kids, and particularly you can't talk amongst yourself. So you can't turn to your buddy and say, gee, what'd you think of that shot? Or have any discussion regarding the atomic bomb. That's where the paranoia was.
they put the fear of God in you. When you start talking about treason, he can be executed. That's enough to. I mean, go to jail is one thing, but treason.
It's quite a cover-up. It's been a cover-up for over 50 years.
I call it mass genocide. And I mean it that way. I think it can be only described as genocide. You don't send 14,000 troops through ground zero and not call it anything but genocide. Somebody knew what was occurring.
There's been a lot of people that died. I would venture to say that there was more people killed in the testing, not immediately, but over the 50-year period of our silence, that there were probably more people killed from the testing than there was in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Well, they knew everything that was going to happen and what danger was involved in it. They're just hoping you all die before they have to do anything.
I don't know that anybody will ever know, because I suspect that nobody will give a damn. When I'm gone, there won't be any genetic study done at my autopsy to determine whether or not anything was passed on.
If it was done for science and the availability to the rest of the human race to know that we don't need it, it's way too devastating. If you could just see the colors, if you could just hear it, not on the television or in the movie, but the actual thing, I think you would agree with me. Whoever is listening to this.
This is the world we live in. This is the world we live in. Now I want to also show you guys this here. Because see, you guys like to watch all this other stuff, but I'm trying to find out what's going on. I don't really care about all this other BS shows. I don't care about the snowfall. None of that bullshit. Okay? None of that shit is going to add up to what we need to know. None of it. Let me see. Should I go to the Tesla files? Or we're not going to watch this movie, though. One second here. Now we need to ask ourselves why we never ever read about Tesla in our schools. I'm gonna say our schools because we don't know what they were teaching in other schools. Okay, I'm gonna say our schools. I know one thing: in the British and in German schools, this guy was taught about. His inventions and the things he created was taught about. Y'all gonna learn something today. Because this energy is what you are. You're gonna learn something today.
America. People from countries around the world came to America, to New York Harbor, and entered the portals of their new lives. In 1884, Nikola Tesla, son of a Serbian Orthodox minister, stood on the deck of a ship and smiled with satisfaction. Here in this country, in this very city, he would one day change the face of the globe. Nikola Tesla was born on July 10, 1856, in Smiljan Liča, in what later became Yugoslavia. His father, Milutin Tesla, was a stern minister, and his mother, Đuka Mandić, was an inventor in her own right of household appliances. She was never photographed. His childhood dream was to come to America to harness the power of Niagara Falls. Tesla studied mathematics and physics at Graz, Austria, and philosophy in Prague, Czechoslovakia. He began his career as an electrical engineer with a telephone company in Budapest in 1881. It was there, as Tesla was walking with a friend through the city park, that the elusive solution to the rotating magnetic field flashed through his mind. With a stick, Tesla drew a diagram in the sand, explaining the principle of the induction motor. Before going to America, Tesla joined the Continental Edison Company in Paris, where he designed dynamos. while in Strasbourg in 1883, he privately built a prototype of the induction motor and ran it successfully. Unable to interest anyone in Europe in promoting this radical device, Tesla accepted an offer to work for Thomas Edison in America, where he set about improving Edison's line of dynamos. It was here that his divergence of opinion with Edison over direct current versus alternating current began. This disagreement climaxed in the War of the Currents, as Edison fought a losing battle to protect his investment in direct current equipment and facilities. This Edison plaque in Lower Manhattan denotes the first direct current power station in the United States. Edison built an empire on direct current, supplying industry, transportation, and households in larger cities with direct current electricity. These Edison lamps were weak and inefficient when supplied by direct current. This system had a severe disadvantage in that it could not be transported more than 2 miles due to its inability to step up to high voltage levels necessary for long-distance transmission. Consequently, a direct current power station was required at 2-mile intervals. Direct current flows continuously in one direction. Alternating current changes direction 50 or 60 times per second and can be stepped up to very high voltage levels, minimizing power loss across great distances. The future belonged to alternating current. Nikola Tesla developed the polyphase alternating current system of generators, motors, and transformers, and held 40 basic U.S. patents on the system, which George Westinghouse bought, determined to supply America with Tesla's electrical system. Edison did not want to lose his DC empire, and a bitter war ensued. This was the War of the Currents between AC and DC. Tesla with Westinghouse ultimately emerged the victor because AC was a superior technology. It was a war won for the progress of both America and the world. Edison's home in New Jersey shows his comfortable life, and his place in history is secure. It was a full life that ended peacefully in 1931. After leaving Edison, Tesla opened his first laboratory on South Fifth Avenue in New York City. As Tesla's fame increased, many notable friends came to his laboratory and participated in his experiments. The American writer Mark Twain was especially intrigued. Robert Underwood Johnson participated in Tesla laboratory experiments where electricity of very high voltage harmlessly passed through his body. He said, "I was myself at that time the medium of the passage of an electric current of 1,000,000 volts of the Tesla system of high is sufficient to kill. Very high voltage of electricity passes superficially through the skin, bypassing vital organs like the heart and the brain, and is therefore harmless." This laboratory burned to the ground, and 2 floors of personally constructed and unique scientific equipment, along with his notes, were destroyed. The New York Times of March 14, 1895, interviewed Tesla just after the fire and reported the distinguished inventor's heavy losses, which, while financial, also delayed development of his new inventions. Robert Underwood Johnson, publisher of Century Magazine and author of Remember Yesterday and other books, and his wife, Catherine, were both friends of Tesla. They published many articles about him and his work. Robert Underwood Johnson wrote in his book, Remembered Yesterday, "Among the few persons whom I have met who I think are possessed of genius is my friend Nikola Tesla, the electrical discoverer and inventor. He was the discoverer of the principle of the rotating magnetic field. If he had done nothing else, this would entitle him to fame of the first order." Tesla was introduced to the Johnsons by Thomas Comerford Martin, Tesla's first biographer and the 3rd president of the American Institute of Electrical Engineers between 1888 and 1889. He edited and published a remarkable collection of Tesla's
Okay, wait a minute. I'm actually going to pull this one up here because this one here is going to take a little longer than I expected to get to the point. What the fuck is going on with that? You know what? I think my YouTube is jacked up. I didn't realize that. Okay. YouTube. Alright, so this is what I actually wanted to get to. Oh man, it still ain't showing me. I want to get to the nitty gritty behind some things real quick. You guys need to definitely
With the first
need to
presidential
see this.
debate just a day away, we thought it was time to play a little political trivia. So, how is President Trump connected to electric car makers Tesla and Nikola? Let's bring in Yahoo Finance's editor-in-chief, Andy Serwer, who has the answer to that. Hey, Andy, good morning. I saw your story on our website about this over the weekend. So connect the dots for our audience. What do all three have in common?
Well, first of all, let's start off, Alexis, specifically with Tesla and Donald Trump. And go back to the 1940s. The inventor Nikola Tesla died in 1943. The FBI was called in to vet his inventions to make sure there was nothing dangerous there that could fall into enemy hands. And they called an MIT electrical engineering professor, a very esteemed one named John Trump. Now, it turns out that John Trump is, in fact, the uncle of the President of the United States. So an interesting thing there, and by the way, he found out that Tesla's inventions, which included a purported death ray, were not necessarily dangerous to society. But then if you flash forward to today, you've got Tesla, the automaker, named after this inventor, Nikola Tesla. And in a way, Elon Musk is the intellectual descendant of Nikola Tesla, a futurist, a polymath, and someone with a million inventions in his mind, who sometimes emulates the president, Alexis, with Twitter, but sometimes spars with him about, say, emission standards and Chinese tariffs. So very interesting connection there. And there's more, of course, too.
Andy, so I was reading your story over the weekend, and I left with the sense, you know what? Tesla's the real deal. Nikola, not proven that it can bring hydrogen to market, but Tesla, 2 years ago, who would have thought we would be in this position right now that Tesla would have this type of market cap that would be pushing out cars that like it is?
Yeah, over $300 billion in market cap, more than GM, Ford, and Toyota combined, with billions more to spare. And it's interesting, again, getting back to these connections,
Okay.
Nikola.
I just wanted to play that so you guys can understand that they are very aware of the connection of Trump with Tesla from back in the day. Now, this is from the History Channel, okay? And they've talked about this as well. And I've talked about this in the past, that Trump knows exactly what's going on because his uncle took tons of inventions and passed them out to his German friends. Okay? And when I tell you Trump has it over the medical industry, oh man, you wouldn't even believe it.
Floor, and this right here is for 3327.
Tesla's room.
That's Tesla's room. Tesla's room. So this is actually where you could tap into Tesla's line and no one would know.
The way the phone system was set up, it would have been so easy just to put a jumper wire on there and over to whatever other room in the hotel you wanted to. So you could be sitting in your hotel room and listen to every phone conversation that Tesla made.
In the weeks before Nikola Tesla was found dead in his hotel room, there were numerous but unverified reports that agents from both the FBI and the OSS, the precursor to today's CIA, had taken rooms near Tesla's on the 33rd floor. Within hours, a team of agents gathered up what was later reported as 30 trunks filled with Tesla's most preciously held scientific papers. Papers which were later examined and determined to be worthless by the government's appointed scientist, John G. Trump. But given the fact that at the time of the Serbian-born scientist's death in 1943, the United States was deeply engaged in World War II, could it be that agents were keeping close tabs on him, even going so far as to monitor his phone conversations, so that no enemy agent could come into possession of Tesla's most important scientific papers? And could John G. Trump's assessment of the value of Tesla's papers have been part of a deliberate campaign of disinformation?
I think that if there's any place in the building that Tesla could have had a laboratory or a work area, it would have been in here.
Really? Why do you say that?
Well, if you look at
That particular information right there, that particular information, and because Trump also said he knows everything about radiation, with the atomic soldiers being poisoned with radiation with over 2,000 atomic bombs over 22 years, and then with them taking Tesla's inventions, which is by John G. Trump, Donald Trump's uncle. This made me realize that both political parties is working together, because there's no way in hell that a family in power like that is gonna let information that valuable go. No way in hell are they not gonna teach their children about that information. We might do our children like that, but let me tell you something about the 1%ers. The 1%ers do not let go of valuable information outside of the family. All that bullshit we're seeing with Prince Harry and Merkel, that's just, they're playing the role or whatever. I don't give a care what's going on with that situation, but it's a bunch of distractions. These people plan 50 years ahead. Understand me. You don't believe me? I got proof and evidence all day. I have proof and evidence all day. Where's that meeting at? I think it might be the Royal Family meeting. This happened in 2019. Nope. No, I'm gonna have to dive back into this to find that meeting. There's so much that happened after that, so it's not popping up real easy. second here. One moment here. I can't find it. It's not coming up. I'll have to find this later. Right now, let's kind of continue right here where I left off at.
Look on the maps, there's no real designation here except transmitter room, but there's a lot more space than you would ever need.
All right, well, let's show us.
There we go.
There we go.
Holy smokes.
It's probably over 1,000 square feet up here.
Transmitters are very small, even back then. You wouldn't have needed a space this large for that. And the question becomes, why on earth would they build a room that big to house such a small piece of equipment? Well, it could be that they built the room for Tesla's lab specifically.
Take a look in here and see if you see anything interesting.
Check this out. Holy cow.
In many places in the building, this would be the most likely place where his lab could have been. It's completely isolated, no traffic through it.
There's papers in there.
Those are original plans from when the building was built, from 1928.
Original plans?
Look at this.
Could they help to further prove Travis's theory that the New Yorker Hotel was built as a giant and more powerful version of Tesla's Warden Cliff Tower?
Look at that.
Holy smokes, they're just sitting up here, getting damp. I start thinking to myself, why weren't these taken care of? And it takes me back to the trunks and this idea that, man, Tesla's stuff could be anywhere.
This is all the blueprints for this building. 1929, we've got all the records.
Yeah, but look at this. Like, all this stuff is full. This is all history.
Have you seen these pipes? Are these pipes original from the building's construction?
Oh, yeah, they're vent pipes.
They're vent pipes. They go all the way down?
Pretty much.
You mean for a ground connection? Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. You know, there's all sorts of places in this building where there are really good pieces you could get for a ground connection.
In Colorado Springs, Nikola Tesla drove 12-foot copper rods into the ground. Then, using his patented magnifying transmitter, otherwise known as a Tesla coil, he generated as much as 12 million volts and sent it into the air and through the surrounding ground. The ground itself proved to be a conductor, which Tesla claimed could spread the electricity over a distance of approximately 26 miles. At Wardenclyffe, Tesla attempted to perfect this idea by constructing a transmission tower that stood 187 feet tall above ground, and with a large metal rod that reached some 300 feet deep below ground. Stretching out from the metal rod was a network of additional metal rods and tunnels that extended outward by as much as 100 feet. Could a similar but much larger system have been designed for future use at the New Yorker Hotel?
Man, look at the view.
Watch your step. So here we are on the roof of the New Yorker.
This is unreal. That's amazing, man.
See the big flagpole there? It's huge. Goes another 40, 50 feet in the air.
See, that could clearly be used like a transmission tower on top of a big Tesla coil.
On some level, I think your idea that this is Wardenclyffe is crazy. On another level, I think it's brilliant.
Well, there were people sending wireless communications from up here from standard systems.
This was a communications nexus for the entire building, all the communications, radio and telephone lines.
As keyed into the technology as Tesla was, it only makes sense that he would be using this highest point in New York City to be broadcasting wireless transmission.
His playground.
There's no way that Tesla was sitting in this hotel and not using all this stuff.
There's no way. No. This was the perfect radio tower at the time, and it had all the power in the world it needed from that big old generator.
Well, you know, Tesla was kicked out of a couple of hotels because of the pigeons. He had pigeons here, and no doubt he must have come up here, released pigeons, and maybe even had pigeon coops. I mean, is it possible that he had pigeon coops?
There's no reason they couldn't have been here.
Well, if that telephone switching system was so easy to eavesdrop on, no telling who was watching him, a way to communicate with people might have been to use the pigeons.
Yeah.
Pigeons as a means of secret communications? While living at the New Yorker, Nikola Tesla was known to keep a number of pigeons in his room. And every day he could be seen feeding dozens of them from his favorite bench in nearby Bryant Park. There was even one pigeon that Tesla had a particular attachment to, going so far as to have a formal portrait of her taken so that he could carry it with him at all times. Is it possible that Tesla's seemingly obsessive interest in these unique birds was a strategic one?
The military used them for years to send covert messages. Yeah, to send messages back and forth. It was one of the things in their arsenal.
I remember there was an article from 1935 about a carrier pigeon that flew into the 40th floor and it was injured, and they gave it to Tesla.
On February 6, 1935, the New York Times published a story about a wayward pigeon that had flown into a room near the roof of the New Yorker Hotel. The pigeon appeared disoriented, and on its leg was a band displaying an alphanumeric code, indicating that it had most likely been trained to carry messages. But as the hotel manager attempted to examine the pigeon and decipher the code, Tesla insisted he would care for the bird himself and quickly took it away to his room. Was this just another example of the scientist's notoriously strange behavior? Or was Nikola Tesla using carrier pigeons to send and receive secret messages under the very noses of the government agents assigned to track his every move? One day after their visit to the New Yorker Hotel, Jason and Travis meet to discuss the team's critical next steps.
I gotta tell you that the New Yorker, if it wasn't built deliberately to be a Wardenclyffe type experiment, Tesla realized that it could be used for a Wardenclyffe type experiment.
I think both of us kind of feel like there was, rather than him being chased by the government or secretly watched by the government, that it's much more likely a scenario that he was working with them.
Absolutely.
The way the other greatest minds of the time were working.
Absolutely.
By 1943, as nations on both hemispheres were engulfed in the 20th century's Second World War, both the Allied and the Axis powers were racing to see which side could develop weapons of such deadly force that victory would be assured. For the United States, the Manhattan Project would eventually produce the world's first atomic bomb. The Germans, in turn, engaged their greatest scientific minds to develop a line of Wunderwaffe, or miracle weapons. Is it any wonder that Nikola Tesla would find himself on a list of scientists that would be considered invaluable to the Allied war effort?
Hey guys. Hey Mark. Mark, how you doing? Have a seat, have a seat. You're not gonna believe this. This is Vannevar Bush. Vannevar Bush, yeah. He wrote an article, Guided Missiles and Techniques. Now Tesla was in that, and this is gonna blow your minds. He's training pigeons to go inside guided missiles.
It's an ingenious idea, it really is. Wow.
But what's so interesting is that maybe Tesla turned him onto the pigeons, the use of pigeons.
As an engineer, inventor, and science administrator, Vannevar Bush was one of the most powerful civilian figures of World War II. Often referred to as the man who would win or lose the war, he headed the Office of Scientific Research and Development, which coordinated the activities of some 6,000 leading American scientists. In 1940, Bush employed famed behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner to head Project Pigeon, a top-secret government research project that would train homing or carrier pigeons to serve as virtual pilots for guided missiles. Is it possible that Nikola Tesla was also secretly involved with this program? Such an audacious notion seems even more likely when one considers that the person who ultimately supervised John G. Trump's evaluation of Nikola Tesla's scientific papers was none other than Vannevar Bush.
Now, the other document I found, it's signed by James Conant. Now, James Conant was president of Harvard University, and he was writing to the President of the United States, FDR.
What time frame is this?
This is 1941, so this is before Tesla died.
All right.
He wants to set up an Office of Research and Development, and he says, I want to put in charge Dr. Vannevar Bush, name him as director. Now, he created a flowchart here, and now look at what Bush is now going to be in charge of. National Academy of Sciences, Aeronautics, which becomes NASA, National Defense Research, and he's basically also taking over the Secretary of War, Secretary of Navy, but he has a direct line to the President.
He's going to be directly in charge of other agencies concerned with defense research. So that's the key right there. A really interesting piece of that to me is that he's going to be over what becomes the Air Force research labs at Wright-Patterson. And there's all sorts of conspiracy theories and stuff about Wright-Patterson.
Located just outside Dayton, Ohio, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is one of the U.S. military's largest and most secretive facilities. After World War II, Wright-Pat, as it came to be known, became the center for the Air Force's UFO investigations, including Project Blue Book.
It's intriguing that we've got something here, a guy, Bush, who is in charge of figuring out what's in the Tesla files, right?
Right.
And he's now, at this time frame, in charge of all of the research being done. And guess what? In 1945, what's Wright Field asking for? All the documents on Tesla. And so Vannevar Bush knows about that, and so he seems like a puppet master here, doesn't he?
Yeah.
According to a number of recently uncovered, though still unverified, top-secret government documents, in 1947, shortly after a reported UFO crashed into the desert near Roswell, New Mexico, President Harry S. Truman brought together an elite team of the nation's top scientists and military strategists. Dubbed the Majestic 12, the group was charged with investigating various reports of UFO activity and, if true, whether or not they had national security implications. The group's members included Secretary of Defense James Forrestal, CIA Director Roscoe Hillenkoetter, and not surprisingly, Vannevar Bush.
When we started looking into Tesla, I would have had no thought in my mind that we were going to be going off into a UFO Majestic 12 kind of conspiracy theory investigation thing. But if you think about it, Vannevar Bush was the guy who told Trump to go get Tesla's belongings and then investigate them and see if there's anything there. If he was the guy then a few years later in charge of all the research for all the other government agencies, then he would be usurping all of this technical data underneath his umbrella.
Was Nikola Tesla secretly in the employ of the United States government? And if so, was the public perception of him as a penniless eccentric really an elaborate cover? Or was his relationship to men like Vannevar Bush even more complicated and more covert than anyone at the time could ever have imagined?
It's over there.
Yeah,
across the street.
Gotta be right over here.
Eager to test their theory that Nikola Tesla's keen interest in pigeons may have been more professional than personal, Travis and Jason have come to Carroll Gardens in Brooklyn.
Gentlemen.
Hey, William.
Hey, Jason Stapleton. Nice to meet you.
Travis Taylor.
Nice to meet you. Why don't you guys come up and see the loft?
All right, cool.
William McLeod is a professional real estate agent who has also become widely known throughout New York City as a self-taught expert on pigeons. He has offered to help Travis and Jason find out more about these unique birds and perhaps offer insight as to what it was about them that so captivated a man who is regarded by many as a scientific genius.
We've been really digging deep into the last few years of Nikola Tesla's life, and the history sort of shows he was an older, senile type old man who was just feeding the pigeons in the park. And we kind of developed a different story about that.